Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. I walked in after a 10-hour day of fixing somebody else's house. Boots dusty, shirt stuck to my back, and the first thing I saw was my wife holding her phone like it was a passport out of our life. Megan was on the couch, knees tucked under her, screen pressed into a throw pillow like she was hiding it from a security camera. Her thumb stayed planted on the lock button, not resting, guarding, like the thing would explode if it lit up in my direction. "Hey," I said, tossing my keys into the bowl by the door. She flicked her eyes at me for half a second and waved her hand like I'd interrupted a commercial. "Hey." No smile. No, how was work? Just a dismissal. I stood there a beat, letting the silence do its thing. "Smells like nothing. We eating?" "In the fridge," she said, still not looking up. "In the fridge," I repeated, like I was confirming a delivery. "Cool. We're roommates now." Her jaw tightened. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Make it a thing." I took off my boots, slow and deliberate, and walked to the kitchen. Lasagna in a plastic container. Cold. A sticky note on top. "Heat it." Not, "I made dinner." Not, "Love you." Just instructions. I leaned against the counter and called out. "What about Saturday? We said we'd hit that open house near Parker. Remember?" "I'm tired," she snapped. "Tired of what?" "Me." Her head finally turned. Eyes flat. I said, "I'm tired. Can you not interrogate me the second you walk in?" Interrogate. That word landed with a little click in my head. I heated the lasagna anyway, set the table like I always did, 2 plates, 2 forks, water glasses. I wasn't trying to win points. I was trying to keep our house from feeling like an airport terminal. "Megan," I said when I came back in, "sit. Eat." 5 minutes. She didn't move. Phone still half buried in the pillow. Thumb still on the lock. I watched that thumb. It told me more than her mouth did. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have handled that night differently. I would have skipped the table and gone straight to the rules. But I wasn't there yet. Not fully. She finally got up, like she was doing me a favor, and sat down. Phone came with her. Not in her pocket. Not on the counter. Right next to her plate, face down, her palm hovering over it. I pulled my chair back and Saturday house rule. Phone stays off the table. Her eyes narrowed. "Excuse me." Phone. Off the table. "Why?" "Because you said so. Because we're eating together. That's the point." She let out a short laugh. Not amused. More like a warning. "You're not my dad." I raised an eyebrow. "Good. Because if I were, you wouldn't talk to me like that." "There it is," she said, voice louder now. "Control. You always do this. You can't stand not knowing everything." I didn't argue. I reached over, picked up her phone with 2 fingers like it was a dirty dish, and set it on the sideboard behind her. Not a toss. Not a slam. Just a move. She grabbed her fork like she was going to stab the plate. "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious." "You're being controlling." I took a slow breath, looked at my own plate, then looked back at her. "If you think basic respect is control, you've been living easy." Her chair scraped back. Unbelievable. I stood, lifted my plate, and took it with me toward the front door. "What are you doing?" she called. I opened the door, stepped onto the porch, and sat on the top step with my food. Cool night air. Quiet. Honest. "Eating," I called back. Without a third person at the table. She walked to the doorway, arms crossed, like she was about to deliver a verdict. "So you're going to sulk out there like a child?" I took a bite, chewed, swallowed. "I'm not sulking. I'm adjusting." "Adjusting to what?" "To the new version of this house, where I don't compete with a screen for basic courtesy." Her lips pressed into a tight line. "You're making this weird." "No," I said, calm as a man reading a weather report. "You made it weird. I'm just naming it." She stared at me like she wanted a fight. I didn't give her one. After a second, she turned and went back inside. The door closed. Not slammed. Just closed. Like a decision. She came in late that night. Past 10. I heard the car, then the quiet steps. I didn't get up to greet her. I didn't play hall monitor either. I stayed in bed, light off, listening. She slipped under the covers without a word. I waited a full minute. "You okay?" Silence. "Megan." A sigh. The kind people use when they want you to feel like a burden. "I need time," she said. "To be alone. Please don't start." "Start what?" "This. Questions. Talking. Just don't." I turned my head on the pillow, staring into the dark. "We're married." We're not supposed to be strangers who share a mortgage. I said I need time, she repeated, sharper now. That was the first moment I knew the line had been crossed. Not because she needed space. People get tired. People get overwhelmed. But because she wanted space with the comfort of my paycheck still running in the background. She wanted me present as a resource and absent as a person. I didn't argue. I made a note in my head and went quiet. The next morning, I left early for work. As I backed out of the driveway, I saw her through the kitchen window, phone in hand, coffee untouched, face glowing from that screen like it was the only light she needed. At the job site, my buddy Ray caught one look at me and smirked. Ray's been in construction forever. He can smell trouble like wet drywall. You got that sleeping next to a wall face, he said, balancing a level on his shoulder. I'm good, I told him. Ray snorted. That's what men say right before they stop being good. I didn't laugh. I didn't need to. I'm handling it. Yeah. He tapped the level against his palm. Handle with tools, not feelings. That line stuck with me all day. Not because Ray was some philosopher. Because he was right in the way that matters. That night, I tried again. One clean attempt. I cooked. Grilled chicken, rice, salad. Nothing fancy. Just effort. Megan walked in, saw the plates, and her eyes flicked to the side like she was checking for cameras. Phone went face down on the counter, her hand still hovering. Dinner, I said. Sit. She hesitated. I already ate. You didn't, I replied. The fridge is full of my leftovers. Sit. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue. Then she closed it and sat. Like she was calculating which version of herself would win. I sat across from her. Tell me what's going on. Nothing, she said too fast. Okay, I answered. Then tell me why nothing has you hiding your phone like it's classified. Her eyes flashed. I'm not hiding it. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. You buried it in a pillow last night. That's dramatic. It's accurate. She leaned back and crossed her arms. You're exhausted and you're taking it out on me. I nodded once. Try again. Her jaw tightened. I don't owe you a play-by-play of my thoughts. I'm not asking for a play-by-play, I said. I'm asking for basic partnership. You've been acting like I'm an inconvenience. You're making it about you. It is about me, I replied. It's my marriage too. She picked up her phone like she couldn't stop herself. The screen lit for half a second, and she angled it away from me on instinct. Then she caught herself and locked it, thumb on the button again. There it was. The reflex. I set my fork down. New rule stays. No phone at the table. And another rule. If you tell me don't start again, I'm going to start changing how this house works. Her eyes narrowed. You're threatening me. I'm informing you. I corrected. Threats are emotional. This is logistics. She laughed again, that same dry sound. Oh my God. You think you're some tough guy now because you ate on the porch. I tilted my head. I think I'm a man who's done begging for normal conversation. She stood up. Plate barely touched. I'm going to bed. Fine, I said. But hear me. You don't get to shut me out and still keep the benefits like nothing changed. She froze at the doorway. Benefits. Mortgage. Car. Bills. My attention. My time. Those are benefits, I said. And they're not automatic if you're treating me like a roommate. She turned and went upstairs. That weekend, I made my first real move. Not a speech. A move. I bought 2 plane tickets to Rome. A week. Non-refundable. A reset button with an expiration date. I did it because part of me still wanted the version of us that didn't feel like a business arrangement. I came home Monday, put the printed itinerary on the kitchen counter, and waited until she walked in. Megan glanced at it like it was a parking ticket. What's that? Rome, I said. A week. Just us. She stared, blinking once. Rome. Yeah. You want space? Fine. Let's take it somewhere that isn't this house. No phones. No half conversations. We reset. Her face didn't soften. It tightened, like I'd cornered her with kindness. I don't want to go with you, she said flat. I held her gaze. Say that again. She exhaled sharply. I don't want to go with you. The room felt suddenly very quiet. Then she added, like she was ordering a substitute at a sandwich shop, Can I take Molly? I didn't move for a second. Not because I was shocked. Because I was measuring her. measuring how far she'd go. Molly, I repeated. Yeah, she said quickly. She's been wanting to travel. And honestly, I need a break. A break from what? I asked. From your husband? Her eyes rolled. From everything. From pressure. Interesting, I replied. Because when people need a break, they don't usually ask their spouse to pay for a replacement. She threw her hands up. You're twisting it. No, I said, and I reached for the papers. I slid the second ticket out from the packet and folded it once, clean. I'm not financing a trip with a substitute. Not happening. Her face changed. It's non-refundable, Ethan. Then it'll sit, I said, like a reminder. She scoffed. You're being petty. I'm being awake, I corrected. She stepped closer, voice sharp. So what? Now you're punishing me. I nodded toward the hallway. Guest room. Starting tonight. Her mouth opened. You can't be serious. I can, I said. And I am. She stared at me like I'd slapped her, but I didn't raise my voice. I didn't crowd her. I just kept going. Separate accounts. I added. I'm opening a new one tomorrow. Bills will be split. The car schedule goes on the fridge. And my work hours are changing. I'll be leaving earlier. She shook her head, disgusted. You're insane. I shrugged. Maybe. Or maybe I'm done funding a life where I'm treated like background noise. Her phone buzzed. Her eyes dropped to it instantly. I watched that, then looked back at her. You can take your space. But you don't take my resources while you do it. She glared. Fine. I'll go alone. Do what you want, I said. Just understand the new access rules. We can be polite. We're not doing married while you act single. She took the stairs two at a time. Door to the guest room closed. That night, she tried the first soft play. I came home the next evening and found a mug of tea waiting on the counter. Honey, the kind she knows I like when I'm congested. She was sitting at the table, hands folded, voice gentle like she'd borrowed it from someone else. Hey, she said. Can we talk? I set my lunch cooler down and looked at the tea. What's this? A peace offering, she said, small smile. I've been burned out. I'm confused. I'm not trying to hurt you. I pulled out a chair and sat, but I didn't touch the mug. You're tired and confused, but you were clear enough to ask if you could take Molly to Rome on my dime. Her cheeks flushed. That came out wrong. It came out honest, I replied. She leaned forward, eyes glossy. I don't want us to blow up over this. I nodded once. Then stop lighting matches. I'm not, she insisted. I need room to breathe. Room, yes, I said. A blank check, no. She reached across the table like she wanted to touch my hand. I slid my hand back and rested it on my thigh. She blinked at that, recalculated. So what now? Now we keep it civil, I said. My rules stay. Guest room. Separate money. Phone stays off the table when we do talk. And after your trip, we'll have a real conversation. Her brows lifted. After my trip? Yep, I answered. You wanted space. Take it. We'll talk when you're done playing invisible. She swallowed. Ethan, come on. I leaned back. Polite, Megan. Not close. That's the setting you picked. Her face hardened for a second, then softened again, like she was cycling through options. Okay, she said quietly. Okay, I'll respect it. That sounded nice. It also sounded rehearsed. 2 days later, she left for the airport with one suitcase and the energy of a woman walking into a role she'd practiced. No kiss. No argument. Just a quick, awkward hug like we were co-workers at a retirement party. Text me if you need anything, she said, eyes already drifting away. I nodded. Safe flight. She walked to the car, and I watched her go without that tight feeling men get when they're afraid to lose someone. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was taking inventory. The second her taillights disappeared, I moved. Not out of rage. Out of clarity. I changed the garage code. I reset the Wi-Fi password. I updated my email passwords and the bank login. I put a sticky note on the fridge. If you need access to anything, message me. Then I opened a folder on the kitchen table and started building a timeline. Ticket purchase. Her refusal. Her request. The date she left. The bank transfers. The weird charges I'd ignored because marriage. I called my buddy Ray and asked if he knew a good notary who worked late. Ray didn't ask questions. He just said, yeah. And Ethan? Good. Handle with tools. On the third day, I went to a discount grocery store near our place because we were out of basics and I wasn't going to starve because my wife was in finding herself mode. I was in the produce aisle, comparing avocados like a normal human when I heard my name. Ethan. I turned and saw Molly. Molly was Megan's friend, but not the kind that played sidekick. She was direct, athletic build, no-nonsense face, eyes that didn't dance around topics. She was holding a basket with tomatoes, bread, and coffee like she lived in reality. "Hey," I said, neutral. "Didn't expect to see you." She smiled, then her smile faltered. "Wait, aren't you supposed to be in Rome?" I looked at her for a second. The store noise faded behind the question. "I could ask you the same thing," I replied calmly. Her eyebrows shot up. "What?" I held my basket steady. "Megan said she wanted to take you." Molly's face drained. "She said what?" "She asked me if you could go instead of me," I said. Then she went alone. Molly stared, mouth slightly open. She told me she was doing a solo reset. She didn't say anything about tickets. Or you. Or me. I nodded once. That checks out. Molly's grip tightened on her basket handle. "No, it doesn't. That's not okay." I kept my voice low. "What did she tell you exactly?" Molly looked around like she suddenly remembered we were in public. Then she stepped closer, lowered her voice. "She asked me some weird questions the past few weeks. Like, if someone asked where we were, what would you say?" I thought she was talking about work friends. I told her to stop being dramatic. I raised an eyebrow. "Did she ever mention Rome?" "No," Molly said, sharper now. "Ethan, what is going on?" I exhaled through my nose and pointed at the end cap near the tomatoes. "You want to stand here and talk, or you want to keep shopping like nothing's happening?" Molly set her basket down on the floor like she'd decided shopping was over. "Talk." I nodded. "Show me your messages with her." Molly hesitated for half a second, then pulled out her phone and started scrolling. Her face got tighter with every swipe. "Oh my." She stopped, then turned the screen toward me. "Look." There it was. "Megan, if he asks, say we're at a museum. Like the one with the big stairs." "Molly, why would he ask me that?" "Megan, just in case. Don't make it weird." Another message. "Megan, if you need, I can send you a selfie to post. So it looks normal." "Molly." "Megan, stop." "Megan, please. I just need you to be cool." Molly's voice was thin. "Ethan, I didn't answer most of this." I thought she was spiraling. My eyes tracked down the thread. There was a screenshot of a boarding pass, cropped tight. No passenger name, just a flight and a date. Molly scrolled further, jaw clenched. And this. She opened an image. Hotel confirmation. 2 names listed. Neither was Ethan. Neither was Molly. I felt my face go still. Not angry, just final. Molly swallowed. "That's not me." "No," I said. "It's not." She swiped to another photo. A shot of hotel carpet. 2 suitcases. 2 pairs of shoes. One pair was men's sneakers. Not mine. I don't wear those. I wear work boots or running shoes that look like running shoes. Molly's eyes flicked up to mine. "Ethan." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I just nodded. "Send me everything." Molly's fingers flew. "Done. And listen, this isn't." I didn't know. "I believe you," I replied. "But I need to understand how long she's been building this." Molly's nostrils flared. "I'm not letting her use my name like that. And I'm not watching you stand there and explain it away for her." I shifted my basket to one hand. "I'm not explaining anything away." Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. "Good," Molly said. "Because this is messed up." I glanced at the checkout lines, then back at her. "Coffee. Tomorrow morning. I want the full picture." Molly nodded without hesitation. 9. The diner off the highway. The next morning, I walked into that diner and the waitress, mid-50s, sharp eyeliner, voice like she ran the place, looked at Molly and me and smirked. "Well," she said, setting down menus. "You two look like you're either fixing something or breaking up." Molly didn't flinch. I didn't either. I answered, "Both." The waitress chuckled. "At least you're honest." "Coffee. Black," I said. Molly said, "Same." When the waitress walked away, Molly leaned forward. "Okay, here's what I know." I kept my hands folded on the table. "Start from the beginning." Molly took a breath. A month ago, she started asking these casual questions. Like, "Do you ever feel trapped?" Or, "If you needed a week away, how would you explain it so nobody panics?" I thought she was being dramatic, like always. I watched her face. Molly wasn't enjoying this. She was angry. She stopped mentioning you, Molly continued. At first it was little things. Ethan's busy. Then it was like you didn't exist. If I asked how you were, she'd say, he's fine, and change the topic. I nodded slowly. So she was practicing a world where I didn't matter. Molly grimaced. Yeah. I asked, did she ever say my name in a negative way? Molly's lips pressed together. She'd say you were solid. Like you were furniture. Like you were dependable and not exciting. I gave a short, humorless breath. Furniture. Nice. I'm not saying it to hurt you, Molly said quickly. I'm saying it because it matters. She talked like you were a feature of her life, not a person. I nodded. That tracks. Molly tapped her phone against the table, frustrated. Then the alibi stuff started. She'd test me. If someone asked where I was, what would you say? I told her, I'm not your spokesperson. She laughed it off. And she kept going anyway. I said. Molly nodded. She kept going. The waitress came back with coffee and poured like she was fueling a fire. Then she wandered off, leaving us with the smell of pancakes and uncomfortable truth. Molly looked me straight in the eye. Ethan, I'm not going to sit here and watch you justify someone who used my name like a mask. I'm not justifying, I said. Good, she replied, then paused, then said something that surprised me. How about dinner with me? I held her gaze calm. You sure you're not just trying to rewrite a bad day? Molly didn't smile. She didn't play cute. This isn't a move. It's dinner. Two people who don't lie. Want to talk about the weather? Fine. I just won't sit there and pretend this is normal. I leaned back slightly, thinking, not about romance. About reality. Thursday, I said. One condition. Molly raised an eyebrow. Only one. Phone doesn't get a seat at the table, I replied. And honesty stays in the room. I'm not doing triangles. Molly nodded once, firm. Deal. I left the diner and went straight into action mode. I printed the screenshots. I pulled bank statements. I highlighted dates. I made copies of the mortgage paperwork and the car title. I took my name off auto payments that weren't mine. I opened a separate account. I moved my direct deposit. Then I packed my important stuff, passport, work certifications, spare keys, into a locked storage bin and put it in my truck. I labeled boxes in the garage. Megan, kitchen. Megan, bath. Megan, closet. Not dramatic. Efficient. I sent her a message. Accounts separated as discussed. Car schedule on fridge. Contact me if you need access to anything. No emojis. No speeches. Just terms. 2 days later, my phone buzzed. Megan, hey. Landed. Miss you. I stared at the screen, then set the phone down. I didn't answer. When she got back, she walked in like she'd practiced being warm in the mirror. Hey, babe, she said, pulling her suitcase behind her. I brought you something. I stood near the kitchen doorway. Calm. Ready. Kitchen, I said. Her smile faltered. What? Kitchen, I repeated, and I locked the front door after she stepped inside. Not aggressive, just final. She rolled her suitcase into the kitchen, still trying the sweet tone. Ethan, come on. Can we just? I placed a folder on the table. Thick, neat, organized. What's that? She asked, voice tightening. Facts, I replied. She sat slowly, eyes scanning the folder like it might bite her. I opened it and slid out the printed hotel confirmation. 2 names. Neither is mine. Neither is Molly's. Her face changed fast. It's not what you think. I slid out the shoe photo. 2 suitcases. 2 pairs of shoes. One is a man's. Not mine. I can explain, she said quickly. I was confused. I was under pressure. I held up a hand. Facts beat speeches. Ethan, confusion doesn't book hotels. I cut in. Pressure doesn't hide behind your friend's name. Her eyes flashed. Then she tried another angle, softer. I was going through something. I didn't want to hurt you. I looked at her, steady. You didn't want to lose resources. That's different. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked down at the folder like it might offer her a better script. I slid over the separation forms. Sign these. Notary at 6 tonight. Her head snapped up. 6? Today? Yes, I said. Today. She shook her head, panic creeping in. You're moving too fast. I leaned back. No. I'm moving on time. You've been planning. I'm responding. She reached for my hand again, like she could touch the decision out of me. Please, just give me a chance. I'll be present. I'll fix it. I'll put the phone away, I swear. Then she stood and came around the table, overly affectionate, hands on my shoulders, trying to pull me into her like we were back in the old days. I missed you, she whispered. I want us. I want you. I stood up gently, removed her hands, and stepped back. She blinked, startled. What is wrong with you? I answered calm. People change when the price changes. Here's the new price. We're done. Her face twisted. So that's it. You're throwing us away? I'm not throwing anything, I said. I'm refusing to stand in a marriage where I'm treated like furniture. She tried anger. You don't even know what happened. I gestured to the folder. I know enough. She tried tears. I didn't mean to. I cut her off again. Not cruel, just finished. You meant to keep the lifestyle while you took your freedom. You just didn't think I'd notice. She stared at me like she wanted to argue, but the folder kept talking without words. Here are the terms, I said. Guest room until you move your stuff. Car schedule stays. Money stays separate. Communication stays clean. She swallowed hard. You can't do this. I already did, I replied. That afternoon, she tried a different tactic, attack me on my territory. I was on a job site in Highlands Ranch, framing out a basement remodel, when my foreman, Luis, called my name from the driveway. Ethan, Luis said, eyes narrowed. You got company. I turned and saw Megan standing there in nice clothes, hair done, phone in hand like a weapon she didn't know how to use properly. My crew went quiet. Ray whistled softly under his breath, like he was watching a storm roll in. Megan marched up. We need to talk. Now. I looked at her, then at Luis. Then back to Megan. This is work, I said. Not for family scenes. Her voice rose. So you're just going to ignore me? I kept my tone level. If you want to communicate, email. She scoffed. Email? Are you serious? Serious, I replied. You don't get to show up here and perform. Ray leaned against a stack of lumber and muttered. She picked the wrong stage. Megan shot him a glare. Stay out of it. Ray smiled. Gladly. Luis stepped forward, professional and bored. Ma'am, you can't be on site. Megan looked back at me, desperate now. Ethan, please. I didn't soften. Not in public. Not on my job. Not here. Not like this. Her eyes went hard. You're humiliating me. I raised an eyebrow. No. You're doing that all by yourself. She stood there another second, realized nobody was coming to rescue her narrative, and walked back to her car. Ray watched her leave and nodded once. Tools, not feelings, he said. Exactly, I replied. The notary appointment happened that evening. No courtroom. No theatrics. A small office, fluorescent lights, quiet signatures. Megan tried to stall, tried to negotiate with eye contact, tried to squeeze my hand under the table. I didn't play. After that, I moved. Not moved out, like a dramatic exit. I moved like a man who doesn't sleep next to a problem anymore. I took a rental place 30 minutes away for a start, then lined up a more permanent spot. I left a key on the counter at the old house with a note. Pickup window for your things is Saturday, 10 to 12. Garage access only. Saturday morning, she showed up with her sister in a rented van. I didn't invite the sister in. I didn't need a mediator. I needed a schedule. At 11:58, Megan was still in the garage, dragging boxes like she wanted me to come out and beg. I stood inside the doorway. 2 minutes. She glared. You're timing me? Yes, I said. Because you like gray areas. I don't. At 12 o'clock, I pressed the garage door button. It started rolling down. Her eyes widened. Ethan, seriously? Window closed, I replied. The door finished shutting. Clean. Quiet. Final. That Thursday, I met Molly for dinner. Not as an escape. As proof that respect still existed in the world. We sat at a small table in a simple place. No fancy lighting. No performance. Molly set her phone face down and pushed it away without me asking. Thank you, I said. Molly smirked. It's not hard to act like a grown-up. We talked about work. About the way Denver traffic makes people lose their minds. About how her job had been chaos lately. Normal stuff. Honest stuff. Halfway through, she looked at me and said, You okay? I nodded. I'm clear. That's different, she said. It is, I agreed. A week later, Megan tried one last move. She found out where Molly lived, probably through mutual friends, and showed up there, thinking she could regain control by confronting the new variable. Molly told me the story after, calm but firm. She knocked like she owned the door, Molly said. I opened it a crack. What did she say? I asked. Molly mimicked Megan's tone perfectly, sweet with teeth. She said, "We need to talk about Ethan." Like she was scheduling maintenance. And you? I asked. Molly's eyes sharpened. I said, "Email him." Megan tried to push. Molly didn't move. She said, "You think you won?" Molly continued. "And you said?" I asked. Molly shrugged. I said, "This isn't a contest. It's a boundary." Then I closed the door. When Megan finally cornered me after that, outside a grocery store parking lot, of course, because she loved public places when she needed an audience, she came in hot. "So that's it," she snapped. "You're really doing this? You're just replacing me." I looked at her, steady, hands in my jacket pockets, voice quiet enough that she had to listen. "I'm not replacing anything," I said. "I'm removing what doesn't work." Her eyes narrowed. "You're acting like you're perfect." I almost laughed, but I didn't. "I'm not perfect. I'm just not available for disrespect anymore." She swallowed, then tried to soften, one last time. "Ethan, we had a life." I nodded. "We had a setup." Her face twisted. "You're so cold." "No," I replied. "I'm stable." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You're really going to throw away years?" I met her eyes and gave her the last line she earned. "I don't build where the foundation is being damaged on purpose." She stared at me like she wanted to argue, but there was nowhere to go. The story she'd written needed me to play the clueless husband. I wasn't in it anymore. I got in my truck and drove away. Months later, my life looked cleaner, quieter, better. I took a solid position with a renovation crew that respected schedules and paid right. I moved to a different town where nobody knew my old routine. I bought a simple place with a garage that fit my tools and my peace. Molly and I didn't rush into some movie version of a relationship. We built it like adults. Clear terms. Straight answers. If something fell off, we talked. If a phone came out at dinner, it was for a real reason, not a secret life. I had my own account, my own plans, my own time. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was competing with silence. As for Megan, I heard pieces through the same social circles she used to manage so carefully. The comfort slipped. The "everything is fine" mask didn't hold when the house wasn't funded the same way. Friends stopped treating her like the one with the perfect life. People get distant when the story changes and they realize they were used as extras. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't need to. The point wasn't to watch her fall. The point was to stop standing under a roof I was the only one holding up. Now I come home after a hard day, drop my keys in the bowl, and I get a real "hey" from the other room. Not a wave, not a dismissal, a real greeting. And if there's one thing I learned from all of it, it's simple. Respect isn't something you negotiate with speeches. It's something you enforce with actions. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.